Good morning, everyone. This regular meeting of the Mobile County Commission is now called to order. If you would please stand for the invocation. It will be given this morning by Reverend Anthony L. Griffin, Associate Pastor of Outreach Ministry with Mount Olive African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church on Bella Street in Pritchard. And please remain standing afterward for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Amen. Good morning. Let us pray. Eternal and all-wise God, we come, Heavenly Father, thanking you once again for this day. We thank you, O God, for this day that we have never seen, yet a day that we shall never see again. Father God, as we come together, we want to say thank you for this meeting, O God, and we invoke your presence in this place, asking you, O God, just continue to bless these thy commissioners as they lead your people, O God. And God, we're praying right now, Lord God, for the decision that has to be made. We're praying right now, Lord God, that they will seek unto you, that the right decisions will be made. God, we thank you for this day, and we give your name praise. Every heart say amen. 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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Griffin. Let's see, next I believe we have a presentation, a certificate. Commissioner Carl, are you?
Archer.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Could I, is it
Mia Cornelson.
Cornelson? Did I pronounce that correctly? Could I get you to come down here with your big old trophy?
It's as big as she is.
Do we have a resolution or something?
A certificate, I think you've got out there. Should we join? Let's join.
Let's keep moving right on down. We're gonna put y'all are all about the money. Which one's Maya? Mia Cornelson. How are you doing? I would like to introduce Maya. Mia. Maya. This girl from Dixon Elementary and everything was down in my district. She shot a 294 out of 300 possibility in the national championship, and she's not one to run from. And she's got a $2,000 scholarship to boot. In the event, earned her a spot on the Academy All-American Archery team, and we are so proud of her. And we have a certificate here from the Mobile County Commission. We're going to present her. Obviously, we have trophies, and we don't have heavy medals. We don't have $2,000, but we would like to recognize her and recognize this whole program. I'll tell you, with the movie Hunger Games, the archery program has just become huge, especially in the south part of the county. And we seem to just keep turning out some very special children. I got to shoot them one day, and it was amazing. These young children, how they will stop you and say, you have to turn this way, you have to stand still, you have to hold your hands down so no one gets hurt. So they learn discipline, eye-hand coordination, and they become a team. And I thought it would be nice to get her to come here. Obviously, she's got enough medals and things, but I just think it's neat we got her here and got her with us. Okay? Thank you. All right, here's something you may have. Would you like a speaker?
Thank you. Congratulations.
No. No, they start them all ages.
I think that's her sister that's helping me.
Don't
I watch
underestimate.
the Hunger Games, too.
Don't underestimate them.
Let's see. I think we'll give them just a moment to step out. Do we have anyone signed in to speak today?
Yes, ma'am. We have two speakers, Cade Fiscal and Astoria Jewett with Mobile Baykeeper.
Okay.
I would like to remind speakers that you're limited to 5 minutes for your presentation. At 4 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll hear a beep. Please wrap up your presentation.
If you will call the first speaker, please. And as you come to the lectern, if you would give us, again, for the record, your name and also your address.
Absolutely. My name is Cade Kistler. I'm the program director at Mobile Baykeeper at 450C Government Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36602. I want to thank you all for your time this morning. Appreciate you taking some time to hear from us, and I appreciate you considering agenda item number 40, which is to, I guess, authorize sending a letter to the Alabama Department of Environmental Management noting concerns about closure in place of coal ash pits in the county pit. As y'all are aware and have taken the time to listen to our concerns, and I'm appreciative of that, coal ash is material that's left over after burning coal, and it contains high concentrations of toxic contaminants such as arsenic, mercury, and lead. Just 20 miles north of here, you can actually see it from the Bayway, sits Alabama Power's plant Berry, where there's 20 million tons of coal ash in an unlined pit near the Mobile River. And there it has been found to be leaking into groundwater and in towards the Mobile River. And Alabama Power has already received a $250,000 fine for that leakage of coal ash into groundwater. Now the plan is to close the coal ash pit in place alongside the river where it sits unlined and allow it to remain there, potentially leaking arsenic into our groundwater for a long, long time to come. And this plan, unfortunately, flies in the face of what's happening across the Southeast, where utilities in our neighboring states are committed to removing 250 million tons of coal ash from unlined leaking pits to protect the environment, the health of their citizens, and their economies. In Georgia, Alabama Power Company's sister company, Georgia Power, has committed to removing every single coastal coal ash pit in the state, and 19 in total that they're removing. In South Carolina, they're removing every single coal ash pit in the state. In Virginia, bipartisan legislation is requiring the removal of 29 million tons of coal ash throughout the Chesapeake Bay watershed. And in North Carolina, the Department of Environmental Quality Secretary, Michael Reagan, said, quote, "Science points us clearly to excavation as the only way to protect public health and the environment." Finally, as recently as 10 days ago, Alabama Power was fined $250,000 for coal ash pollution at their plant Gadsden coal ash pit. And that is the only coal ash pit that Alabama Power has currently closed in place, the same closure in place method that they're proposing for Plant Berry, 20 miles north of here. It's the smallest pond, it's much smaller than Plant Berry, and if it's already leaking, that leaves us with a lot of concerns. If it's leaking, it's got arsenic over 100 times the federal limit, and radium. It leaves us with a lot of concerns at what will happen at the much more challenging and the much larger Plant Berry. So on behalf of our 4,500 members, thousands of which are your constituents throughout Mobile County, I'm asking you to make sure that the letter you authorized to the Alabama Department of Environmental Management leaves no room for uncertainty. States, our southeastern neighbors that have been studying this issue for a lot longer and spent millions and millions of dollars to study this issue have determined there is no other way to close these ponds but to remove the coal ash, to line pits and or to recycle it. And that's the only way they've determined to protect as well as their economies. So we think that ADEM should protect the residents of Mobile County by denying closure plans that leave coal ash in place in unlined pits. And I would also hope that the commission will pass a resolution that makes it clear its concerns and urges remove coal ash to protect its constituents, as well as lets Alabama Power know those concerns. So I appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I talked to one of your board members this morning, and he was expressing idea that I had not heard, but has it been looked at as far as pulling that ash back, putting a line in, and then pushing it back? Because pushing it back into a lined pit, they're on the same site.
Right.
Has that been discussed with the groups?
So that hasn't been brought up to us by Alabama Power. It is something that I think is taking place at a plant Bowen that Georgia Power runs, which is a very large plant, and I think that they're essentially doing a line in place method, which is what we're discussing, is kind of moving the ash away, putting a liner underneath, and obviously engineers, there's a much more technical side of that. That's kind of the gist of it. I haven't heard it discussed yet, but it's been to definitely entertain and look at as a potential option.
Because I did the plant tour, or the ash, I actually went there and did the
Yes,
tour,
sir.
and their biggest concern was actually moving that from one site to another. Their claim is that's got more of a potential of being more dangerous than actually leaving it and capping it in place. I know we can argue all that back and forth. So we're kind of, the commission's kind of thrown into this. I'm trying to get some straight answers as to, have we asked certain questions? For example, what's this going to cost the consumers?
Yeah. So we've looked at costs in all the other states that have done this. So they're looking at, in Virginia, where they're moving about 30 million tons of coal ash, they're looking at about $5 on utility bills monthly.
For how long?
For about 15 years is what they're looking at. So
Okay, that's up there. How about here?
I haven't heard a cost from Alabama Power, and I don't have the means at my disposal, but we've tried to aggregate those costs, and it's more expensive than closing it in place and leaving it there, but the long run, that's very likely to be much more expensive to have arsenic leaking into our groundwater and into the Mobile Bay Delta and down toward Mobile Bay with the potential for a spill.
Nobody will argue that, but it's kind of hard with somebody on fixed income. $5 a month is not much to you and I. Somebody on fixed income, that's a whole Medicaid prescription.
I understand that, and
that's-
so we definitely need to look at
That can make a difference
solutions.
between life and death for them, so, anyway. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Kistler. I would just add that, of course, the Mobile County Commission does not have legal authority over this
Absolutely.
closure process. I think what we are attempting to do is ask questions at this point. We're certainly not the experts on this, and that's the ADM and EPA are the regulatory bodies here. And so we feel the responsible thing to do is ask the questions that have been posed to us, many members of your organization, and try some factual responses from ADM. And before we take any further steps, we want to make sure that we're operating on the best information available and the facts.
Absolutely, and I would encourage you to look at what those other states have done where they've spent millions of dollars researching this issue, because ADM hasn't to this point spent that kind of time and money, although definitely asking them those questions is important, and I appreciate y'all's concern and investing in this issue. Thank you.
I would love it if you could
Yes, sir.
maybe come up with a few minutes and you and I get together and you kind of compare some of these numbers and facts with me.
Absolutely, be happy to do that.
You know, I'd like to look at both sides. I want to be
Yes,
fair.
sir. Understand, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, the second speaker is Astoria Gillett from Baykeeper.
Hello, thank you for hearing me speak.
Good morning.
I'm not going to bore you by repeating everything that Cade, my colleague, just said, but I do want to add some specific details. First of all, ADEM's maximum fine is only $250,000. That's less than 1/1% of Alabama Power's 2017 profits. So while you guys don't have the authority over Alabama Power, ADEM doesn't really have a lot of pull either. Another thing is that the amount of arsenic that Alabama Power's own reports have already said that they're leaking, the amount of arsenic that Alabama Power's own reports have said that they're leaking into our groundwater at Plant Berry is 973% of the national federal limit. That's significant, to say the least. And while it may be expensive or dangerous to move that coal ash, it's much better to transport it over land than for it to leak into our waters. The backup drinking water supply for Moss is within the inundation zone of Plant Berry if there were to be a breach, which is highly likely in the event of a hurricane or flood. So I ask you to really consider this question very carefully, to pass a resolution, to do everything that you can, because we citizens are looking to you as our leaders to take action. Even if you don't think that you have much power, you have more than we do. So please, act.
Quick question, this $250,000 fine, was that, because I wrote down that was Gaston Steam Plant. Was that against Gaston or against Berry?
So there have been multiple fines. The most recent one is Gadsden. That received the maximum fine of $250,000. There was a previous lump of fines for coal ash groundwater violations across the state. So for that, they were giving $250,000 for this, $250,000 for that. All of that added up to, is it 25 million? $1.25 million
But
fine.
this 250 we keep talking about, that's not Berry Plant, though. That's Gaston, which up in Shelby County?
That's Gadsden.
Gaston?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very had one the same amount.
Yeah.
They did get a fine also? Yes, sir. Berry did? Okay.
No.
That's what
Sorry.
I was asking about.
Yeah. So they did already fine them, and that has not changed anything on Alabama Power's part. What we're planning to do right now is cap in place. The thing about cap in place is that you put a liner over top, but you leave the ash pit unlined on the bottom, so it doesn't really solve the groundwater problem, just to cover it over top. Do you have a question? Okay. So that's why we're asking them to move the ash to lined upland landfills away from our vulnerable waterways, away from vulnerable communities. If that plant, if the pit at Plant Berry has a breach, it could be 20 times larger than Deepwater Horizon. That's arsenic and cobalt already leaking into our groundwater.
And to move that pit, you said 15 years?
I'm not sure on that time.
Okay, because the numbers Alabama Power gave me was 30 years. It was 115 loads per day, 7 days a week for 30 years. I'm just throwing numbers out there. I remember that because it was so impressive. Whether it's right or wrong, I have no idea.
Yep.
Just numbers.
Any further comments, Ms. Jellett?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
I look forward to meeting with y'all. Thank you.
We have no additional speakers.
Okay. Glenn?
Number one, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the September 10, 2018, September 24, 2018, October 8, 2018, October 22, 2018, and November 13, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Number two, approve the list of claims.
So moved.
Second.
Number three, hold a public hearing so any citizen of the county shall be given an opportunity to be heard.
This public hearing is now in session. Is there anyone here this morning to speak for or against this matter? There being none, the public hearing is now closed.
Number four, approve amending the 2007 Capital Improvement Plan to add the following project: estimated cost, Mobile Government Plaza window cleaning, sealant maintenance, $2 million. This amendment creates Project CIP 2017-15 and allocates $2 million for the Mobile Government Plaza window cleaning and sealant maintenance.
So moved.
Second.
Number five, approve amending 2017 capital plan to add the following project: estimated cost, Mobile County Soccer Complex, $2 million. This amendment creates Project CIP 2017-16 and allocates $2 million for the Mobile County Soccer Complex District 2 project.
So moved.
Second.
Number six, approve amended agreement with Kimberly C. Bonner, PREA consultant for PREA audit to add additional audit and compensation $1,500.
So moved.
Second.
Number seven, approve annual renewal agreement with Comcade for the code enforcement program in the amount of $10,587.02 for the period of June 23rd, 2019 through June 22nd, 2020 for the Environmental Enforcement Department.
So moved.
Second.
Number 8, adopt a resolution endorsing collaborative partnership between Mobile Area Interfaith Conference and Mobile County Metro Jail for expanded adult reentry program.
So moved.
Second.
Number 9, approve contract for United Way of Southwest Alabama as fiscal agent in the amount of $10,000 from District 1 funds to provide access to safe and affordable banking services for low and moderate incomes.
So moved.
Second.
Number 10, approve contract with Women's Club of Saraland, Inc. in the amount of $56,969.58 from District 1 funds to pay for building repairs.
So moved.
Second.
Number 11, approve contract with the Board of School Commissioners in the amount of $3,990 from District 1 funds to help support the 2019 FBLA National Leadership Conference.
So moved.
Second.
Number 12, approve award bid for new fire alarm systems for various Mobile County facilities to Bagby and Russell Electric Company for their total bid amount of $440,300.
So moved.
Second.
Number 13, approve award bid for security camera upgrades for the Revenue Commissioner's Office at Michael Square Shopping Center location to B and Russell Electric Company for the total bid in the amount of $95,565.
So moved.
Second.
Number 14, approve amendment number 1 with Speaks Associates Consulting Engineers for All Fellows Festival Park improvements and Americans Disability Act upgrades. This amendment will authorize sub-consultant environmental services to address wetland issues on a section of the property.
So moved.
Second.
Number 15, approve refund for tobacco stamps damaged and destroyed as follows: Wiggly and Culp, Inc., $371.13.
So moved.
Second.
Number 16, approve contract with the City of Mobile in the amount of $12,500 from District 3 funds for lighting improvements at the intersection of Nevius Road and Hillcrest Road.
So moved.
Second.
Number 17, authorize grants department to advertise as may be required from time to time via print, electronic media, or otherwise without the necessity of prior commission approval.
So moved.
Second.
18, approve request of the Sheriff's Office to increase their fleet to 229 vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Number 19, approve rescinding action in June 26, 2018 minutes. Agenda item number 14, memorandum of understanding, authorizing the transfer of radio tires and appurtenances from the Mobile County Commission to Mobile County Communication District.
So moved.
Second.
Number 20, approve request to approve asset transfer agreement authorizing the Mobile County Commission to donate, transfer, convey, and deliver to Mobile County Communication District.
So moved.
Second.
Number 21, approve amending 2019 capital improvement plan to add the following project: estimated cost, sidewalk improvements, 7th Street, Satsuma, $100,000. This amendment creates project CIP 2019-001B and allocates $100,000 from CIP 2019 District 1 unnamed projects to CIP 2019-001B sidewalk improvements, 7th Street, Satsuma.
So moved.
Second.
22, approve canceling the bid and authorizing to advertise the bids. Sam Senior Center addition. There was an error in the advertisement for bids.
So moved.
Second.
23, approve assignment to Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, Inc., Mobile Government Plaza window cleaning and sealant maintenance for the proposed fee of $72,000.
So moved.
Second.
24, award bid for tobacco tax office renovation at Bay Hayes Building to Tyndall Construction for their total bid of $103,425.
So moved.
Second.
Number 25, approve request to transfer $505,000 from Chickasaw Park Administration Building Construction to District Funds, District 1.
So moved.
Is this the language? Is this what we?
Actually-
I'll say second.
Actually,
It
was
was
this not,
supposed to be changed to commission special projects
did you not
and
get
not
that
commission
information?
district projects.
and rather than to district funds, District 1, it should be to
Commission district projects?
commission district projects.
Yes.
Okay. So
Or excuse me,
Commission
commission
special-
special projects, sorry.
Commission
Special
Special
projects.
projects, yes.
Okay. If we can make that, and
Yes.
I don't know how the communication
Yeah, I'm
mess
not
up
sure we'll
happened
resolve
here,
that.
but if we
Yeah.
could work on maybe the communication on these kind of things.
Yes, we'll definitely work on that. I
Okay.
apologize.
Thank you. Okay.
Second.
So move with the alteration?
Second.
Yeah. I said so moved with the alteration of that.
26, approve amending 2019 capital improvement plan to add the following project and estimated cost: Chickasaw Park Administration Building Construction, $505,000. This amendment creates a project CIP 2019-001C and allocates $505,000 from CIP 2019 District 1 unnamed projects to CIP 2019-001C Chickasaw Park Administration Building Construction.
So moved?
Second.
21, consider taking the following action on bids.
So moved?
Second.
28, approve renewal of the annual subscription agreement with Idafix for diagnosis of hotline automobiles in the amount of $1,428.
So moved?
Second.
29, approve renewal of GMTIS annual software subscription with AC Delco/DXC Technology Services for service programming in the amount of $3,864.
So moved?
Second.
The approved purchase of Microsoft license from the current state Alabama contract from SHI in the amount of $17,358.95 for the Revenue Commission's Office.
So moved?
Second.
31, approve renewal of annual subscriptions with Convert Track Group, Inc. for mapping products with the Sheriff's Office in the amount of $2,400 for the Investigation Department and in the amount of $1,200 for the Narcotics Department.
So moved?
Second.
32, approve purchase of the golf cart from Cart Doctor for Alma Bryant High School in the amount of $3,000 from District 1, district refunds.
So moved?
Second.
33, approve sponsorship with Chickasaw City Schools in the amount of $1,000 from District 1 funds for its Freedom 5K Run event.
So moved?
Second.
34, approve appointment of Stanley Chasson to serve on the Board of Directors of the Mobile County Industrial Development Authority for 6 years.
So moved?
Second.
35, approve the contract with the Youth on the Winning Side New Image in the amount of $5,000 from District 1 funds to benefit its annual youth musical workshop.
So moved?
Second.
36 was voted at the conference. 30 is an approved contract with the City of Satsuma in the amount of $100,000 for the sidewalk improvements.
So moved?
Second.
38, authorize extending term of subrecipient agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of South Alabama regarding parking lot improvements.
So moved?
Second.
39, adopt a resolution requesting the assistance of President Donald Trump in obtaining funding for the construction of the proposed Interstate 10 Mobile Bay Bridge.
Okay. Well, before we vote on that, we've got a resolution that we wasn't going to read, but we do have a letter. Kathy, did you bring the finished letter? Sure. Would you read the letter?
Yes, sir. Letter addressed to President Trump. On behalf of the Mobile County Commission, we want to thank you for your steadfast leadership and commitment to the robust, long-term economic success of our nation. We recognize that being president is not easy, and we greatly appreciate your tireless efforts on behalf of all Americans. We write to you to express the Mobile County's Commission very strong support for the I-10 Mobile Bay Bridge and ask for your help. This project will create jobs, increase tourism and economic competitiveness, and improve the overall quality of life for our citizens. Additionally, it will significantly improve the commerce through the I-10 corridor and is an excellent economic development opportunity for the multiple states along the Gulf Coast. The estimates from the Alabama Department of Transportation and the Federal Department of Transportation for the construction of this new bridge exceed $2 billion, but presently there is a lack of funding for the project. There has been discussion of tolling, which could cost daily commuters over $2,500 per year and would be a significant and very costly burden upon daily commuters who are required to travel the bridge for employment-related matters. We understand that you have pledged federal economic resources for the construction of a new bridge on Interstate 10 in Louisiana, which funding would be derived from your proposed $2 trillion infrastructure plan. The population of Southwest Alabama, including the Mobile County Commission, hopes that you will include the full funding of this shovel-ready project for the Interstate 10 Mobile Bridge within your proposed infrastructure legislation. As you may be aware, over the years, our region has experienced substantial population growth and significant increases in passenger and freight traffic, leading to an increasingly inefficient, less safe, and highly unreliable national highway system. While we realize that we are not alone, we believe there is no segment along the Gulf Coast more congested than the Wallace Tunnel in Mobile, Alabama, a major choke point that connects downtown Mobile to the 7.5-mile-long Bayway. Originally constructed to accommodate 36,000 vehicles per day, the Wallace Tunnel currently carries an average of over 75,000 vehicles per day and upwards of 100,000 vehicles during peak periods, causing near constant congestion and placing the entire Gulf Coast region and Alabama's port infrastructure at a significant economic disadvantage. As evidenced by this letter and the enclosed resolution, the citizens of Southwest Alabama, who early in your campaign committed to your presidency, and the Mobile County Commission are requesting your support for this project. We are committed to creating jobs, spurring investment, increasing the security of our nation, and improving the overall quality of life for those living along the Gulf Coast area. And we look forward to working with you and your administration to make this project a reality. Please let us know if you have any questions, and we look forward to hearing from you concerning this request in the very near future.
Thank you.
Commissioner, may I suggest if this is approved today, it's subject to some final editing?
Oh, of course, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner, on number 40, would you like the letter read first?
Yes, well, go ahead and read the item, and then, if you will, read the
Okay.
letter, please.
Item number 40, authorized letter to the Alabama Department of Environmental Management noting concerns regarding Alabama Power Company proposal to cap and leave in place coal ash stored at the James M. Berry Electric Generating Plant.
And rather than noting concerns, I think it does outline some concerns, but our quest here is to get answers to questions that have been posed to us by concerned citizens. So we need to, if we're going to, we would say noting concerns and requesting information, but just for the record. So if you will, please read the letter.
This letter is dated May 28, 2019, directed to Lance R. LaFleur, Director, Alabama Department of Environmental Management, Montgomery, Alabama. Dear Mr. LaFleur, the Mobile County Commission recognizes that the Alabama Department of Environmental Management's primary mission is to protect the environment, and that regulations and procedures are in place that will result in the best outcome possible when faced with serious issues that revolve around industrial contamination. Likewise, the Mobile County Commission is committed to the environment and to the public well-being. Many Mobile County residents have raised serious issues related to Alabama Power Company's plans to cap and leave in place a site that contains a large volume of residual coal ash stored in 600-acre coal ash pond at James M. Berry Electric Generating Plant. Given these concerns, the County Commission respectfully poses the following questions on behalf of our constituents. Number 1, is the existing coal ash pond in direct contact with groundwater? How will the cap-in-place method prevent groundwater contamination at the site? Number 2, how will the potential for a dam be considered when approving the closure method? Number 3, is recycling of the coal ash being considered in the assessment of corrective measures submitted by Alabama Power? The Mobile County appreciates your consideration of these concerns and awaits your response. If these questions cannot be addressed immediately, please consider them during the forthcoming public comment period for a public closure method.
Okay, thank you. And I will add that in addition to these, the questions that are before, this list that's before the commission for approval, there are some additional questions that have come up that have been presented to me, and my office will likely do a follow-up letter with some additional questions attached as well. But
I'm sure we all will, because mine has to do with dollars and cents and charge and costs. And I don't know that they can answer it, but we can at least get it on the table. So moved.
Second.
thank you.
Number 41, approve amending Commissioner Conference and meeting schedule to change the time for the meeting on Monday, June 10, 2019, from 10 o'clock a.m. to 11 o'clock a.m.
And this presents a bit of a hardship, I think, for our Public Works Department, who have mailed out notices since this was put on the agenda at the last minute. And I think notices were mailed this week. Is there, how can we handle this?
Commissioner, I think moving the meeting from 10 to 11 in of itself does not pose a substantial problem. I'll take a look at it after. We might want to send a supplemental notice, but I don't think it's material to what Public Works has presented by moving the meeting 1 hour, particularly later in the day, as opposed to earlier in the day.
And my office sent the request to do this several weeks ago because we had planned the unveiling of the bicentennial plaque at Bellingrath Gardens for that morning, and so that we could have it that morning at 9:30 and then hold the commission meeting after that. So I don't know there again how that information somehow got missed, but it was planned several weeks ago. Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Number 42, recommend authorize to advertise, receive bids for Sam Jones Road, Railroad Street resurfacing.
So moved.
Second.
43, recommend authorize acquisition of property and acceptance of right-of-way, deeds, and easements from the following property owners.
So moved.
Second.
Number 44, recommend approve water line relocation agreement with the Waterworks and Sewer Board of the City of Pritchard in association with Marcus Circle East. The estimate cost to Mobile County, $257,741.
So moved.
Second.
Number 45, recommend approving preliminary final plat of Westlake Church subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
46, recommend approve right-of-way and/or easement agreement for Track 10 in the amount of $450 for Mobico Loop Road West, South, and R Road, and Small Road, grade, drain, base, and pave.
So moved.
Second.
47, recommend approve right and/or easement agreement for Track 3 in the amount of $2,000 for South Craft Highway Bridge replacement.
So moved.
Second.
Number 48, recommend adopt a resolution that Mobile County enters into a revised agreement with the state of Alabama acting by and through the Alabama Department of Transportation for the utility and construction project.
So moved.
Second.
'49, recommend approve renewal of a 12-month maintenance agreement with TopCon for a total cost of $320 for their magnet field data collection software.
So moved.
Second.
And Commissioners, we have an add-on. Add-on is to approve a resolution for the payment of $500,000 per year for the next 3 years to the Administrative of Courts for the benefit of the 13th Judicial Circuit Court.
Could I ask you to please read that resolution?
Resolution for Mobile County Commission. Whereas the Mobile County judicial system faces a severe funding crisis. Although the judges of the 13th Judicial Circuit have one of the highest caseloads in the state, there has been a significant reduction of state funding to the trial courts in the county. As a result, the 13th Judicial Circuit has experienced a loss of state funding for one-third of the staff of the circuit court, one-third of the staff of circuit judges, half of the staff of the district judges, and 75% of the the county administrator.
Court administrator.
Court administrator. As a consequence of these shortages, criminal cases are backlogged, leading to overcrowding in the Mobile Metro Jail. Significant delays on hearing for protection from abuse in criminal and civil jury trials have been reduced. These shortages now pose a threat to public safety in Mobile County and prevent the timely administration of justice in the courts of the county. Whereas the Mobile County Commission understands that funding for the Alabama court system, which includes 13th Judicial Circuit, is a constitutional responsibility of the state of Alabama under the budgetary authority of the Alabama legislature. And whereas the 13th Judicial Circuit continues to receive woefully inadequate operational funding from the State Administrative Office of Courts, and whereas the Mobile County Commission further understands that in order to assist with the short-term funding needs of the 13th Judicial Circuit for 3 years, or until which time during that same period that the state provides funds to replace the county's funding assistance, the county will make a voluntary contribution to the 13th Judicial Circuit. And whereas that voluntary funding commitment on behalf of Mobile County is made contingent upon HB 598 or any substitution or future variation thereof, not receiving a vote of approval by both houses of the Mobile County Legislative Delegation. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Mobile County Commission that Mobile County will contribute the sum of $500,000 per year payable to the Administrative Office of Courts pursuant to separate memorandum of understanding or other writings acceptable to the AOC and the county for the benefit of the 13th Judicial Circuit beginning on October 1st, 2019 for the period of 3 fiscal years, thereafter terminating on September 30th, 2022. That as a condition of acceptance of funding from Mobile County for the period prescribed herein, the presiding judge of the 13th Judicial Circuit shall provide an annual detailed accounting of expenditure of county funds to the Mobile County Commission on or before September 1st of each year. In addition, the presiding judge shall report to the Mobile Commission in writing on or before September 1st of each year all efforts and progress made on behalf of the 13th Judicial Circuit to obtain state funding necessary to trace short-term funding provided by the county. That the Mobile County Commission respectfully requests that the chair of both the Mobile County Legislative House and Senate delegations provide a report to the Mobile County Commission on or before September 1st of each year for the prescribed period herein, of the specific efforts taken by each respective delegation to increase funding for the Administrative Office of Courts and designation of increased funding for the 13th Judicial Circuit Court System.
I just have one question. The report from the delegation on the September 1st, why that date? I guess because it's far removed from when they're in session? That's my only.
I think it's probably related. This was
Tied to the budget?
tied to the budget. This was Beth Lyons' suggestion.
Okay. I just wondered.
Yeah. And I think what all this basically means is we're left with very few options here. Our Mobile County Legislative Delegation sponsored a House Bill 598 that basically diverts money from our local revenues, that's city and county. And by the way, the city council is expected to approve a very similar resolution today as well, which for another $500,000. But the simplified seller's use tax is the revenue that the county and the city are now receiving based on the internet sales. And that revenue is increasing every year, but it really is put in place to take over for the loss in revenue that the county and the cities are not receiving for the closure of brick and mortar stores, from the loss of business license fees and the loss of revenue from the stores that we see closing across all of our communities. And so the internet sales tax, simplified seller's user tax, is the money was put in place, or the law that was put in place to fund our local governments as well, and the state gets a portion of SSUT as well. Our court system has been, the funding for the court system has been cut by the state. It is a state responsibility. The court system is not a local funding responsibility. It's a state responsibility, but they have continued to cut their funding. And the judges, as you recall, 2 years ago came to us and asked us for assistance. We agreed to do that on a very limited short-term basis. The state has yet to fix that problem, and the Administrative Office of Courts has not fixed that problem yet. We agreed to fund the courts, our local 13th Judicial Court System, again this year to assist with funding, but we requested that they collaborate in sending a bill to our legislature, which they did. I think it was House Bill 83, which has some additional court costs on for criminal and civil courts. And our legislative delegation rejected that, and instead decided to back sponsor House Bill 598. And so what's happening today is we are voluntarily agreeing to help fund the court system, our local system here, for 3 years, to give our local legislative delegation, the House and the Senate delegations, as well as the judges and the Administrative Office of Courts, an opportunity to try to work out a way to provide permanent funding to our courts. And this is a statewide problem. This is not just Mobile County. So there needs to be a solution found. And I reject the idea that the state just will not fund the system. I was in a Senate hearing last week and made several points. One being that this funding is to replace the funding that we're losing by the closure of brick and mortar stores and business license taxes. Another is public safety. We all appreciate the job that our court system does. They work hard. I don't envy those judges. It's a difficult problem when their revenue streams are diminishing. But also the county commission has funding responsibilities for public safety as well. If we didn't have a functioning jail to put criminals in, then the judges would have no place to send the people that appear before them in court and are sentenced. And we also have responsibilities with the Sheriff's Department. We have responsibilities with buying life-saving equipment for our volunteer fire departments. And there again, I reject the idea that the state will not live up to its obligation and for courts. I think that if our delegation, working in conjunction with other legislative delegations across the state, if they're working in collaboration and as a concerted effort to go to the governor and to go to the Administrative Office of Courts and insist that our courts be adequately funded. And the Constitution of the state of Alabama requires that the courts be adequately funded by the state, and right now they are not. And so in the short term, the county and the city of Mobile, presumably, if they approve that today, will step up and voluntarily help support the courts for the next 3 years. But we anticipate and we expect and we insist that during that time that a solution be found that relieves the county of this obligation to fund the courts, which is not our funding responsibility. And I see Beth Lyons, who has been very, very, very helpful in working with us, with the legislature, and helping to draft this resolution. Thank you for being here today. Do you have anything else to add at this point?
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity just to add a few things. I was just in the city council at their pre-council meeting. They are inclined to pass the resolution that's very similar to what you are considering. They did add some of the language that we worked on over the weekend, which would request that the delegation come and give a report to the city as well as the county each year about their efforts to increase funding for the courts, and specifically the 13th Judicial Circuit. So resolutions, assuming you pass yours, should look similar and should at least avoid and have this situation on a local level instead of having the legislature in control of the legislation. So,
right.
As I've said to the city council, and as I say to you, this is the least worst solution to the situation. But you all know that a safe county and a safe city requires the court system to work, and in the absence of any other alternative method being considered by the legislative delegation, that's where we are today. So,
and this action also relieves the burden of the funding requirement on our small cities, and House Bill 598 required a 20% diversion of funds, not only from the city of Mobile County, but also all of the other 10 small cities. And that was an extreme concern for these smaller municipalities that really have very, very limited funding. So this relieves that as well.
Well, I do think that we are going to have to be part of the solution with them, with the judicial system, with the judges, and with the legislative delegation. We're going to have to be pushing all along to try to get them together to coalesce to be effective in changing the system, so that we can see at the end of, or even prior to the 3 years, if there were funding available, that they can reach that solution that we know has to happen.
Beth, if this is a statewide problem, why isn't the legislature as a body more engaged around fixing this? I mean, this is a constitutional issue, and I don't understand why it doesn't seem to matter. They spend all their time on these other things that really don't impact the average person every day who has to go into this court. Why?
Well, I think there are a combination of things. Of course, you all know that we have a number of critical unmet needs in the state that the legislature, for decades, has not been the best in addressing. But several things happened in the Administrative Office of Courts, and that we had a Chief Justice at one time who did not seek additional funding, did not see it as a priority to increase. And then within AOC is a formula that treats every judicial circuit similarly. So regardless of, in the 13th Judicial Circuit, our judges having 25 cases per judge. In many other circuits that are less populous, the judges may have 250. But yet AOC in its formula, which is internal in a regulation, treats them the same. So that it is impacting the larger counties with the larger caseload in the most aggravated way. So I think that's another thing we've got to work on, is that formula internally, and then also an increased funding. And that legislature did fund the courts $3 million additionally this year, but there's nothing specifically for the larger circuits. And I think that's twofold that needs to be addressed. I don't know if that answers your question sufficiently.
It does.
It's an answer.
But from what we see as the county, they don't really care what we think. They just, they just come and raid our coffers, and we're here. It's just been going on so long, and I just could not understand why it was just not a really big issue for legislators everywhere.
I understand that.
I think if it's made a priority and there's a concerted effort with our delegation working together, and we're not the only county in the state that's having this problem. I mean, some more so than others, but as you said, the other large counties are also having extreme problems with this. It seems to me if they all work together as one voice and go to the governor and go to the AOC, I can't believe that we wouldn't see some sort of results and some resolution to this. So
We'll be pushing, and that will be part of my job over the next months, to look at a number of different funding alternatives for one, and then to pull the groups together, try to coalesce so we can be an effective force to solve this problem and have a sustainable income for our courts.
Well, if I could point something out, this is an issue we knew we were going to have to vote on as a commission, so we don't communicate among the three of us. We have people that are feeding information back to us, and all three of us had a little different view. And I'd like to say congratulations to the county commission for coming together with what I feel like is a responsible response. We cannot not keep our court systems moving in a timely manner, because not only does it hurt the innocent, it also releases the guilty. And one's as bad as the other when you talk about the speediness of a trial. So the commission as a whole, $500,000 is a lot of money. And we've propped the court up the last 2 times. With this, we'll do it for the next 3 years. But and I won't be here, but my patience is over at the state. The state's got to do their job and step up and be responsible. I mean, it is their job, not the county commission. And we have so many state hands stuck in our pockets every day. Most people don't even realize it, the state programs that we actually pay for, that we don't have to. But to keep them moving, we have to do it. So I'd like to thank the other 2 commissioners for doing a great job. This is the most politically tense match I've seen in a long time up here, but we managed to keep our cool and work our way through it.
Yes, you did. Thank you all.
thank you, Beth.
So moved.
Second.
Number 50, Commissioner announcements and/or comments.
Commissioner?
It's a great day yesterday, Memorial Day. I attended a lot of events. Beautiful weather, responsible for the weather.
It was
Not
a
the
hot
heat,
day.
though.
Are you
Yeah, not the
responsible
heat,
for
though.
that?
Not the heat, though. So kudos to so many people that put on so many different programs. It was a wonderful day.
It certainly was. Commissioner? And also attended the visitation and the funeral yesterday for Representative Victor Gaston's wife, Jean. We certainly want to keep Representative Gaston and his family in our prayers. He lost his mother a few weeks ago. He's had some health issues to deal with as well. So, as I said, please keep him in your prayers. Okay.
Number 51, approve a request for the motion to adjourn until June 10th, 2019.
And I would add, we do have an indigent care board
Yes, we
meeting.
do.
So after our adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this meeting stands adjourned, and the indigent care board meeting is now called to order.
Number 1, approve the minutes of the meeting of April 23rd, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
2, accept the report from Mobile County Commission of the balance in the Indigent Care Fund at April 30, 2019. Funds available, $144,917.03.
So moved.
Second.
Number 3, approve request for motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We stand adjourned. Everybody have a great day.